There we go. Hello and welcome. Look at me actually do this the right way by turning on the mic before I try talking. Yeah, that's a lot better. Let's see if I can't do everything close to right. Turns out I can't. Anyway, hello. How you doing, Thomas Potts? I kind of ran away right as I said I was going to start the stream, and so I'm not really super ready to get it going. But we'll fix that quick enough, won't we? There we go. There's my chat overlay, which I can still undo top chat. I do not understand why it's doing that. So I figured I'd do a second go of Eternal Darkness. Cheater! Come on, Thomas. No, not cheating, not yet. But I know it's not the virtual pub night, but I decided I was going to have one of these Samuel Smith oatmeal stouts, which not sponsored content. It's not that I'm not willing. It's not that I'm unwilling to, shill out for someone. It's that they're not willing to pay me. So, hey, Samuel Smith, anytime you want me to shill out, I will. I'll be a sellout. Yeah, Thomas, it is my second go. I was just an idiot. I copied the settings and forgot to change the name. I've changed it already. If you do a refresh of the stream, you'll see that it says part 2 now. This isn't Bird of Prey's channel. He isn't cheating the game before the game even starts. That's right. Yeah, I don't cheat unless I'm upfront about my cheating. Like if I cheat, I'm honest about it. I'm not gonna lie about cheating. That would just be ridiculous. I do like this oatmeal stout. I enjoy good oat stout. It's a good. I put too much foam on this one. I wasn't paying attention. Didn't pour gently enough. But yeah. So anyway, let's get this going here. If I get it set up right. Let's see. It should be showing. There we go. Number 1 sci-fi. It is extremely good to see you. You still slated to get out of the hospital tomorrow? And yes, Mr. Miles, Chief Engineer, you are certainly the first Mr. Miles, Chief Engineer, to come to the game. And yeah, I'm going to do my best not to distract you, buddy. I'm also busy. I've been working on spoilers here. Oh, that's good. I've been working on a video for how I would have fixed Onward, which I don't know if you guys have seen that yet or not. And thank you so much to me. Oh, I donated to myself. Life with Matthew. I apparently I was so guilty. I just had to confess that yes, I am a cheating jerk. But yeah, I've been working on a video about Onward and its missing character arc. So I've recorded it. I got about halfway through the video, which means if I actually worked on that video instead of playing right now, I could probably finish it tonight. But forget that nonsense. I would much rather procrastinate and do another live stream. That is just going to be so tasty. So this, as long as I'm shilling stuff, this is a very nice beer stein that one of my best friends gave me as a wedding gift, as a groomsman present. So not my wedding, his wedding. That's right, John DeMarco. No one distract Mr. Miles, especially by typing in all caps. So number 1 sci-fi. I don't know if you were here for the last time I played this. Man, I love stouts. This is called Eternal Darkness. It is a game set in the kind of the Call of Cthulhu mythos. Which, if you're not familiar with that, there's a guy back in, I don't know, 20s, 30s something, named H.P. Lovecraft. And he came up with this idea that there are these ancient creatures from beyond the stars that can do things that we would describe as magical. And to be aware of these creatures is to actually have your sanity eaten away. Mr. Lundell, Groovy Movies, how are you doing today, my friend? Okay, so in the last chapter the game that we just played, at the end of it, we saw a cutscene where the heart of Mantarok was hidden behind this book. So Alex discovers a pulp novel written by one Dr. Edwin Lindsay, the guy we played in the last chapter, amongst the books on the shelves. This is where the Tome of Eternal Darkness indicated that something of value was hidden behind the book. Should I look behind the book? I don't know why it gives me these options. The answer is yes. For every time it asks me something, the answer is yes. It's like, nah, I don't want to advance the game. I'm just going to wander around aimlessly forever. With the book removed, a secret cache is revealed. Inside it is the heart of Mantarok, encased in glass to protect the world from its corrosive energies. Should I claim the heart of Mantarok? Yes. LDG Pixels, how are you doing today? I saw on the chat or in Discord that you have a... Oh, I don't have the game volume turned on. I'm sorry about that, everyone. You have a script that you're working on for your official video. You want to plug it real quick? Like, what are you gonna... What's the video on? Is it going to be a complete surprise, or are you going to give us some spoilers? Mr. Miles, it was freely given to me, the heart. Spoilers. Fair enough, fair enough. So one of the fun things about this game is the longer it goes on, the crazier you get. See, look, I'm sinking into the floor right now.
This can't be happening.
LDG Pixels is saying he's going to announce the title tomorrow and finish the second draft. Very good. And Mr. Lindell, I am drinking it. I'm really enjoying it. It was the only one they had at my wine store. It is Samuel Smith, Old Brewery, Tadcaster, Oatmeal Stout. And yes, it's really good. It is not the best oat stout I ever had, but it's a good one. The best oat stout I had was called Black Tookish. And it is only available at this one local pub. It's not a pub, it's an eatery, excuse me. Like, they have a full meal there. That was fun. Oh look, a dead guy.
The darkness is coming.
Do I think I'm going to beat the game tonight? Probably not. There's probably going to be at least one more playthrough. Like, the very last level of the game takes a solid 2 hours, I want to say. It's definitely not a short ending. So I'll probably get close to that. I'm also kind of taking... whenever this happens, you're fully insane. I'm also kind of taking my time to beat things. And, like, I know what I need to do, but I'm acting as if I don't.
This can't be happening.
For your guys' benefits, because it's more fun to do it naturally within the game, instead of me being like, oh, I can combine all these runes and have all these spells that I shouldn't have. So anyways, I was talking about H.P. Lovecraft. Arthur back in the 1920s, 1930s. Creatures from beyond the stars. To know them is to go insane. Or lose sanity. And so that's really what this game revolves around, that the more you get to know, the crazier you become. It's a glaive, Mr. Lundell. I'm just walking around with a glaive. A gladius, even. This is a page from Maximilian Roivas' journal, which is a character we played earlier. Everything that brightened my life now engulfed me in darkness. I feed on the light of truth, yet starved in the shadow of lies. I have learned through my lifetime, but no less than a newborn baby. So this was one of your ancestors, and he went crazy by the end of everything. And yeah, so you're playing the character of, I think her name is Alex, and is her name Alex? Let's save the game and see if it doesn't tell me. Yeah, so her name is Alex Roivas, and she's very much like the Buffy the Vampire Hunter kind of girl. Just ignore her whimpering because she's insane right now. I could make her less insane, but I really like them being insane. Like, fun things happen when your character is insane. One of the less savory things about H.P. Lovecraft, and yeah, that's the other Royfus. He did bad things. Let's see if I can dispel this magic. But yeah, H.P. Lovecraft, he it is unfortunate, but he did have some. We were talking about this before, Mr. Lindell, that he had some racist tendencies. And some of it was just like, well, everyone's this way, and some of it was more like, yeah, this wasn't just a cultural thing. This was full on unacceptable racism. As the magic, which again with a K, magical window fades away, the piece of parchment that the maiden was holding is left behind, floating in midair. It appears to be a chapter page. Yes, retrieve it. Of course, Thomas. When I see an evil ghost, I walk to where it was. I ain't afraid of no ghost. And hello, Robert Rose Jr. How are you? I'm doing pretty good today, thank you. Alex and Michael can be male or female. You know, I've met a couple girls named Alex over the years. I've never met a girl Michael until Michael Burnham. It really made me think that they intended for it to be a boy at first, and they were like, let's make it a girl, and just not bother to change the name.
I am not your food today. I am your master. Your task is to guard the artifact before you. Let no one touch it.
Yeah, John, I've never known a girl named Michael before either, or in real life. So yeah, H.P. Lovecraft, he like there are some things where if I were to use the kind of language he used today, then I'd be being racist. But at the time, that's like just it was like when he was described people of mixed heritage. That was the technical term for it at the time. And so a lot of people read that and were like, wow, this guy's crazy racist. And it's like, well, no. You have to understand that that was the nomenclature of the day. It wasn't designed to be offensive the way it would be today if it was used.
Corrupting all that could be corrupted.
But then he had other things where, yeah, he was like, he was racist. he was. It's still worth reading his stuff. You just got to go into an understanding that you're going to encounter things that you're not going to agree with. I hope you're not going to agree with.
The Inquisition prevented anyone from leaving the town and its nearby cathedral. For everyone was suspect.
Is that right, Mr. Lindell? He's saying that Michael Leonard played the mother on the Waltons, so it seems like there's a precedence for a female Michael. I didn't know that, which I should have. I mean, my mom called me John Boy growing up because apparently I was a lot like him.
On our Franciscan brethren.
I shall not impose, Excellency. I merely request lodging and a viewing of the sacred relic, the Hand of Jude.
Many have traveled far and even risked their lives for a glimpse of the hallowed relic's true splendor. Of course, it would be wise to keep quiet during your stay. The Inquisition is here for a reason.
It's Joe Biden!
We seek to purge the deviancy from this town.
Sure
it's Joe Biden as a cardinal.
Amiens appears to be a peaceful hamlet.
It appears to be, but deviancy is secreted in the most deceptive places. which I believe is the case with Amiens.
Then I wish you luck in your search.
The Inquisition does not need luck, Brother Luther. Faith and purity are our guides.
Thomas Spots, was I like someone on the Waltons? Well, that's what my mom said. Assuming I'm thinking the right show. It was the one where at the end of the show, John Boy would wish everyone a good night. And like, it would focus on the outside of the house, and you'd be hearing him yell out, "Good night, so-and-so," and they'd, "Good night, John Boy." Wasn't that the Waltons? Or am I thinking of something else? That's not where to go first. Thomas Potts. Speaking of Michael, is that crazy old man streaming tonight? I don't know. You know, I waited a little bit before starting my stream because I wanted to make sure that if he was going to stream, that I wasn't streaming over him or I wasn't keeping him from streaming. But when he didn't come on, I'm like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and start then. Oh, he did.
God! God! Help! Come quickly!
Miss Lundell is saying that, yes, that was the Waltons. Okay, that's what I thought. I might have seen one episode, but I've seen the end where John Boy saying goodnight to everyone.
I found him lying here, dead. I called the guards.
Is this our first suspect? Make sure no one touches the body. It must be examined for signs of devilry. As for this man, make sure he doesn't leave the cathedral. We will question him later.
But
Hold your tongue, Franciscan, or it might bring my wrath upon thee. Who is to say that you did not commit this murder? If you trust in the Almighty, and you are indeed innocent, then you will have nothing to fear.
Yeah, Thomas, those guys need some sunlight. And Miss Lundell, I know, if we want to stream, just stream. Make Michael wait. I do try to be respectful. I do this as a fun hobby. Other people do this for their living, or want to do it for a living. And I want to make sure that those people get supported, because those were the people that got me into this. I killed them, you witnessed it. I think that's about how it goes in these kind of inquiries. The painting captures Paul's attention. A small emerald disguised as part of the painting glints in the candlelight, as though it has some value beyond being a precious gem. Should I take it? Oh yeah, I'm totally robbing this cathedral. And Mr. Miles, yes, examine it for signs of devilry. A true detective, I see. Yeah, for the Inquisition, yeah, that's high detective work right there.
are you here to pass sentence on me?
No, I'm here to free you. You are in incredible danger. This cathedral used to be a place of peace. Now many strange things happen here. I don't want you to end up like the others.
What do you mean?
The body you found was Brother Andrew, and he was killed to protect a secret. We can't talk about it here. Find me in the bell tower later, and I shall aid thee further.
Why are you releasing me?
I don't want to see another innocent die like your Franciscan brethren. I have seen Brother Andrew make numerous entries into his journal. This may contain the answers to the cathedral's dark secrets.
What can I do?
If I were you, I'd run.
They will surely hunt me if I run. This has to stop.
The line must be drawn
Beat on
here.
your own head, Luther. Find Brother Andrew's journals if you can. He spent time in the old tower investigating. I believe I can find the key to the old tower in one of my stores. Later, come find me in the bell tower, and I will give it to you. Be swift. We can't evade them forever.
Oh, I'm streaming at the same time as Sci-Fi. I'm sorry, Rambling Canuck. I knew better than this. Well, I'm gonna keep going. Sorry. Sorry, rambling in Sci-Fi Nation. Yep, I'm gonna take that. Tom's just saying they should throw him off a cliff to see if the devil is in him. Yeah, or try to drown him. Mr. Miles, it's wise not to trust anyone in these games. Thomas, yeah, you want... Which... Actually, you know what? I think there might be... Let's see. Is there a weapon in here? Somewhere around here there's a weapon. So right now I got nothing. But I need a weapon. John, he turned me into a newt. A newt? I got better. Yeah, I made the joke during the last stream not to let my brother know I was playing this. Like, my nephew had showed up, which was super cool. I loved it that my nephew showed up. But I refuse to read the Harry Potter books because they treat magic like it was, you know, real life stuff, and because it's a book for kids. But mainly the magic stuff. I don't like it when a book treats magic like it's super duper real. But I had no problems playing games like this. So I'm like, don't tell my brother. He's gonna call me out on my hypocrisy. But the difference has always been like when a book tries to treat magic like, you know, you could go out and you could wave your hands and do stuff, I don't like it. Yes, Mr. Miles, let me get to the hypocrisy part. So whenever a game treats magic like it's just fantasy and stuff, I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me at all. Oh, Mr. Miles, Harry Potter totally treated magic like it was real. It's the real world, and everyone, the lucky people, get to join in on having magical powers, and the rest, everyone else is just muggles. And it treated it real to the point that, like, there's a sharp increase in Wiccanism shortly after the Harry Potter books was released, because people thought that if they joined the Church of Wicca, they too could be doing magic. I mean, it is a kids' novel, so it's not exactly, you know, marketed toward the brightest people or those most sounded in reality. It's marketed to kids. Mr. Mario saying, I grew up with it, like literally grew up with it. I was usually the same age as Harry. I never thought it felt real. Well, that's good. A lot of people did. And Thomas, I'm not saying the Wiccans are evil. I am saying that a lot of people joined it after Harry Potter because they thought magic was real, and that if they joined the Wiccans, then they too could be doing magic. Okay, so now I got a crossbow, so I can actually kill these tiny little creatures without having them Mr. Miles, that's not entirely true. He's saying nobody thought magic was real. I actually had a lot of friends growing up who did think magic was real. They were Wiccans, and they actually tried to cast a couple spells rather unsuccessfully. But they very much believed that it was all real. And the Wiccans saw a sharp increase in their numbers after Harry Potter, because there were a lot of people who thought it was all real. The Diary of Brother Andrew, page 1. I finally arrived at Aeneas, and my pilgrimage to see the Hand of Jude draws to a close. I cannot wait to lay my eyes upon the sacred relic. My journey here has been arduous, and it shall be good to relax for a while in this peaceful village. Amiens is full of good people, strong in their faith and their role in our world. If the blight of witchcraft is present in this world, then I doubt it in Amiens. Mr. Miles saying his mom is/was Wicca. Okay. Thomas thought magic was real. And Mr. Miles, I disagree. People did there was you can look at the numbers. There were a lot of people who, after reading the Harry Potter books, joined Wicca. See, this is the forgeries of reliquaries dating back to the late 13th century, exquisitely limited and bound with hard leather. It reads, doubtless many obscure orders requiring more income than can be garnered from tithe resorted to forging ancient relics to bring people from outside their religion or region to their dossier, and thus become more lucrative. Well, it could be said that a false hope is still hope. Relics such as Cuthbert's jawbone, the hand of Jude, and the infamous thigh-bone flute of Connaught, while being forgeries, deceive the righteous unjustly. Their existence as true relics is the utmost heresy. Miss Lundell is saying, a lot of people join things like Wicca just to rub, in their opinion at least, it in everyone else's faces. That's fair. John saying, honestly, I think anyone who thought magic was real from reading Harry Potter isn't playing with a full deck. That's also fair. Mr. Miles saying, I grew up around, I'm assuming Wicca long before Harry Potter was out. I saw no increase in it after Harry Potter came out. I accept that. I do. I just also know that when you look at the statistics of it, just raw statistics, that, oh shoot, messed up. That Wicca did, like, you can probably find, like, if you go online and Google Wicca after Harry Potter came out, jump past the like weird people who are just trying to attack Harry Potter, and go to a reputable source, and you will see that there was a sharp increase. And Mr. Miles is saying Star Wars created thousands of people who claim Jedi as a religion. Yeah, I'm not saying that everyone did it because they honestly thought. Oh, yep, turn the spigot. I'm not saying that everyone who joined did it because they thought that this was a real way to get to magic, but I am saying that there was a sharp increase. Thomas, Jedi religion is wrong. Sith is the only way. Thomas, is that sentence written correctly? My godfather refuses to watch Star Wars because he claims it supports Christianity? Is that... did he really think it supported Christianity, or did he think that it went against Christianity, and that's why he didn't watch it? Because I mean, I know there's only so much you can do to change someone's mind who thinks like that, but the Jedi stuff was very much a it's kind of like the Buddhism and Shintoism, mainly Buddhism teachings, I believe. Oh yeah, finish him off. Yeah, John, I hadn't heard the Star Wars supports Christianity before either. Mr. Miles is saying, if someone read Harry Potter and thought that was Wicca, then claimed they were Wicca because they read Harry Potter, well, besides the magic element, how is Wicca an HP similar? Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. You are right. It's not that they thought Harry Potter was Wicca. It's that from a statistical standpoint, it appears that, and you do have to make kind of some best guesswork, because not everyone does an exit survey when they join a religion. But it appears that people, they read Harry Potter, they would think that magic is real, and then they went to Wicca thinking that that would be the way to be able to do magic. So it wasn't that they thought Harry Potter was Wicca, from what I can tell. It's that they went to the closest thing that they thought would be the real life equivalency. So no, I apologize. I didn't mean to make it sound like I was trying to say Harry Potter was Wicca. That's just what people went to after reading Harry Potter. Not everyone, obviously. I'm not trying to paint with a broad stroke here. Breaking news. Matthew is talking to the devil. No, it's an ancient. His name is Mantarok. And John's saying, I heard of some people, religious people, not liking Star Wars because it was too much like magic, but not the other way around. Yeah, I heard that. Miss Miles is saying, if they didn't think it was Wicca, then why would they go for Wicca if they thought Harry Potter magic was real? I don't get it either. I'm just saying statistically that's what they did for some reason. And my best conjecture is they're like, okay, Harry Potter set in the real world. What's the closest magical real world thing we could get to? And the first thing on the Google result hit list was Wicca. And they went, oh, okay, let's do this. And I have no idea even how long they stayed in it. So, I mean, it could have been like a quick blip up and then right back down when they, realized this wasn't the same thing. But the statistics do bear out a correlation there.
Too soon. As you have noticed, dread things inhabit this place.
And hint at a causation.
Corpses and worse.
There is darkness at work here, in the midst of the Inquisition.
I suspect it is worse than that.
Let's see.
But I have no proof. Brother Andrew knew this also, and paid the price for it.
Why are you telling me this?
Perhaps you can finish off what Andrew started. Take this key. It unlocks the old tower. It has been sealed off since the Inquisition arrived.
I intend to uncover the truth behind this.
If you manage to uncover the source of darkness, return here, and I will do everything I can to help. Till then, brother, may your faith protect you.
Mr. Miles, why would they gamble on Wicca if they already thought HP magic was real? That's like saying you believed in the New Testament, so you became Muslim. It makes no sense. So again, I'm just saying, statistically, there's a strong correlation that hints at a causation between these two events. Now, I'm guessing at motive here, and I freely admit that I'm guessing at motive. But I'm also talking about a demographic that is not the most well thought out in the reasoning. And I would argue more that rather than saying it's reading the New Testament and going to Islam, that it's more like you read a book that talks about deism, the existence of there being some sort of higher being. And as a result, you say, well, I do a quick Google search on deism and Judaism, Catholicism, and Islam come up. So I'm going to give Islam a try to see if that's the right thing. Tom Spot is saying he views the Jedi as a Catholic church, indoctrinating children to their beliefs. Okay, I see. I think that's a stretch, but I mean, once you got someone set in their ways, there's no arguing. I get it. And that guy went to the tower to wait for me. Why didn't he go for me? Because then this part of the video game wouldn't happen. Duh. A scroll of aged paper sits on the dusty altar top. It seems to have been discarded. Pick it up. Excellent. I just learned the shield spell. So we are definitely going to assign that. And we'll assign it over here. Why not? Actually, no. I need to assign it here. That's where I put it. So this allows me to take a couple hits without it damaging my health. And so the red one does just health. The blue one protects me from losing magic, and the red one is just health. So I just want health. Miss Lindell is saying, I can see where Matthew is coming from. Let the U.S. win gold in the billiards during the Olympics and let it get a lot of press. Then there will be an increase in people getting into billiards. Yeah, that kind of mentality. Uh-oh. Hold on. I need to re-enchant my weapon here. Do I also believe video games can make people violent? Mr. Miles is saying, no. No, I do not. I think that people who are going to get violent, quote-unquote, from a video game are already going to have violent tendencies. And in such cases, I fully do not believe that the video game is what's making them violent, but that they were already violent. And I absolutely reject the notion that people playing like Grand Theft Auto become violent. And Mr. Miles, I get the distinction you're making here. And I want you to understand that I'm not over here, like, screaming from the rooftops that Harry Potter leads people to wickedism. All I'm saying is that, from a dispassionate look at statistics, there was a sharp increase after Harry Potter came out. That is a correlation that seems to imply causation. Okay, so now we got a ruby and a long sword. Hey, Cinnabon Bunny, how are you doing today? And Thomas Potts says, smashing the controller repeatedly make you violent? A little bit? Let's see. Ah, yep, there they are. I think there's another one in here. No? Just that one? Okay. Yeah, Cinnabon, how's the buns doing today? And like I think I made about the same point, Mr. Lindell, but I definitely agree that violent people are already like that long before they play a video game. I found another diary page. Let's see, and this is from Brother Andrew, the guy that we found dead. I suppose it is understandable that they will not show me the hand of Jude on such little notice, but I must confess that the preparations they make are most unusual. No acts of consecration, no daily prayer or worship are demonstrated by this strange order. One wonders if they are holy at all, let alone being under the auspice of the Great Inquisition. Perhaps it is my naivete of our faith. There are many practices associated with it, and they differ greatly from region to region. Perhaps Amiens is merely more eccentric than others. Sure, why not? No? Okay, I guess I'm not going to go into the secret tunnel in this one. Mr. Miles is saying, correlation, causation are not always connected. Fully agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. And I have no idea what data you're talking about. That's fair. This was something I looked up ages ago. And understand, like, I didn't choose not to read Harry Potter because of this data. I had already chosen not to read it because, whoop. Oh, fun and sandy stuff. I chose not to read it simply because I didn't like the way they presented it as if it were real. I like my magic to be fantasy. And that's all. Now, what data am I talking about? I looked up a long time ago. You can undoubtedly find it if you look for it. But it just showed that after Harry Potter came out, there was an increase in Wiccanism, and it was an increase such that it was outside the realms of normal statistical variance that heavily implies causation. And again, I get the full disclaimer that that doesn't necessarily mean causation, but it does heavily imply it. So let's see, my controller, I'm using a PlayStation 3 knockoff controller for all this. So my buttons don't quite correlate up to the same ones that you see on the screen, so we'll see if I can't get this on the right go. There we go. And Cinnabon is saying that he's still in the hospital, or the bunny, Strawberry, is still in the hospital, back on IV, just waiting for a call in the vet for an update. Well, I hope that he gets better here. I guess, is that in the cards at all, Cinnabon? Is it possible for him to get better, or is this just kind of a how long until he goes kind of situation? And Miss Lundell, yes, I am a French Gothic cathedral chasing evil spirits, while at the same time I am using a spell book, apparently. So one of the annoying things about this game is that instead of it just automatically giving you all the 5-tiered spells, you have to redo everything from scratch. Mr. Miles is saying, I don't get why I felt Harry Potter magic seemed real. Could I expand on that? Sure, let me do this because it takes just a minute here to go through and make these... Oh, I don't have the power rune yet. Never mind, I can't do that. Matthew triggered Mr. Miles. No, I didn't trigger him. We're just having a good discussion here. Multi-Gunman, doing fine, thank you. How are you doing today? I'm glad you approve of my PS3 controller. So expound on that. It wasn't that they're like, oh, if you say like badly mangled Latin stuff, then obviously magic will happen. The way they treated all of it was, you are in the real world, or Harry Potter is in the real world, and if you are one of the lucky few people who are a wizard in the real world, then someone will come and take you away. And if you're not one of the lucky people, or even better yet, if there's someone out there who denies that all this is real, then they're just muggles and you don't need to listen to them. Now, yes, this is like kind of the extremist way to go with the books. However, there were certainly, and again, this was aimed at a young adult demographic, and there were lots of people at the time who did go that route, and who was like, oh yeah, if only I was this, because, you know, there's clearly people out there who are like that, and I wish I was one of the lucky ones. Get off me, you stupid zombie. Which, one of the things about what I'm saying also is that anecdotal evidence is always just that, anecdotal. That just because I observed something like this, and you didn't, doesn't mean that it didn't happen. But at the same time, I freely admit that just because I observed it doesn't mean that it was always happening. That everyone had the same experience I had. But it was enough such that I did see a lot that there are people who wanted this to be real, and they were weird people to begin with, man. I hung out with a weird crowd when when Harry Potter came out. Do I have the same problem with Death Note? That is an interesting distinction, Mr. Miles. I hadn't ever really thought about it. So obviously I didn't, because I hadn't thought about it, but you've actually raised a really interesting question that I should think about. I guess I never viewed Death Note as being something that took place in the real world, even though it was obviously presented as like, here is Japan and stuff is happening in Japan. I guess because it had been, Japan is such a world removed from me, I'd never thought about it like that. Well done, Mr. Miles. You got me to think about something that I hadn't considered before. Thank you. Now that I think I just got the Paragon, so I can upgrade myself here. Okay, there we go. So I've just gotten everything I need to make stronger spells. So what I have to do is I have to go through my spell lists and recreate everything. So I just did the shield spell, so you can see that there's now a 5-tier one, and the 5-tier is a couple bits stronger than the 3-tier. So I need to do enchant item, which is project item, recover, which is absorbs self, I think. So let's see, absorb self, I want to say. Yep. And then I have the question marks for it right now, but eventually I'll get a little piece of paper that tells me it's power. So I need to project item. There we go. What's the next one? I'm trying to do this. I am trying to make sure that I only do the spells that I've actually learned up to now, because I don't want to cheat. Because I more or less know every spell if I try. And the first time I played this game, I actually just guessed until I got it all. So it's not like you couldn't figure it out. I'm just trying to do a more organic way about doing it. Shoot, I did it wrong. Was it not absorb area? Let's see. New spell, 5 tier, 2 powers. It's definitely area and absorb, right? There we go. Let's see. Damage field is protect area. Protect area. There we go. Sorry, I'll be done with this just one more second here. Summon creature. Which 2 powers. Creature. Summon. There we are. And one more. Nope. Oh yeah, yep, that's everything. Very good. Multi-Gunman, am I into retro gaming at all? Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, etc. Yes, extremely, all the way, absolutely yes. I love retro gaming. So this is actually a GameCube game, as a matter of fact. I was talking about this last time, that the way I'm playing this game is enchant item. I have a Wii, and we can play GameCube games as well. Most of the GameCube games. And I use my Wii to rip the WBFF image, or it's probably something a little different for a GameCube game, the ISO basically. And then I'm using the emulator Dolphin to play all this. So I do own the original game. I do own the system to play it on, but I'm playing it on my computer. So now we're going to upgrade my shield to have 5 little lights around me, which super protects me. And Cinnabon is saying, oh, Mr. Miles, he's thanking me? Okay, I'm not sure what to do. That's fair. You know, so Mr. Miles, I always try to do one of 2 things. I try to do both of these. I try to state my opinion and then be honest about my own biases. Because I freely admit that in just about everything, I have biases. And I want to be upfront and honest about where my biases are. Because I think that if people recognize that they're being biased, then even if they continue to have that bias, it makes for 1, a better conversation with them, but 2, it also it kind of forces you to think more about that bias. Hey, if I'm biased on this, then maybe I need to do some more thought to either come to a good reason to have that opinion, or to get rid of that opinion. Like admitting your biases, I think helps you, or at least it should force you to be thinking hard about those things. At least that's my attempt. That's always my attempt here. And Cinnabon is saying it was possibly recoverable. Let's see. It's recoverable, but the longer her gut isn't moving, the less chance of survival. Okay. Get back down. And so another example is most of King Arthur related stuff. Some people treat that like real history. That's true. I remember I had to actually read when I was in school the Once and Future King, which it was a fun book. I know that Disney made a version of it. The Sword and the Stone was based on the Once and Future King by, who is it? T.W. White, I want to say. We're gonna have to recover a little bit of sanity, or else I'm gonna lose all my stuff. Because Because once you lose all your sanity, whenever they try to take your sanity, you actually lose health. So that's bad. In fact, it's funny you mention. It's funny that you mention Arthur. I have a cousin who will swear 6 ways to Sunday that we are related to Merlin. And he's like, this is one of the fun insanity effects. Random body parts are blowing up because I've lost my mind. But yeah, he's like, you know, not the magical person, like the actual real life person who was the advisor to the Roman Arthur. And he swears that he's like done all the research and he can track it back. I'm like, okay, that's nice. I have a lot of fun family. Let's read the 3rd page here. With a shudder, my heart turned to ice. I came to the brutal realization that the entire order were heretics and that I was in incredible jeopardy. Who knows how long they had kept their dark secret, masquerading as custodians of the hand of Jude, when in fact they guarded a damnable relic, the essence of the unholy Chiturga, and used it to lure potential victims to their hideous sacrifice. I felt sick, and despite my faith, felt intense fear and hopelessness. I know I must escape this place before they suspect my knowledge. I must warn the world and notify the real Inquisition of their presence. Knowing death is just around the corner, and fearing every moment, I commit these words to paper. Augustine will find this book. I will remove certain pages and hide them, so that all who may follow might discover the truth before it is too late. Oh, pick this up. There we are. By adding Paragon runes to a spell, it can be powered up. Yep, thank you. So, not to dodge the Arthur comment, by the way, Mr. Miles. My distinction also is like, how many people actually would consider this a legit thing? So, for things like, take the Greek gods. I mentioned in the last stream that I actually really like the Percy Jackson books, the Lightning Thief, and all that stuff. And on that note, it's like, well, for a long time, people thought the Greek gods were real. So how does that not conflict with my stance on, you know, magic? I try not to read things that present magic as real, which, in that same vein, there are some great novels, which, if you have no problem with such things, there's some novels it's like a detective, but if magic were real. It's called the Harry Dresden novels. And I read a couple of those before I had really worked out like how much they considered this as real life. Like, when I first started reading it, it was like, okay, here's a fun thing. It's set in this fictional universe where magic is real. And after reading a couple, I'm like, oh, you know what? This is actually this is actually like, hey, this is real life, and this guy actually knows magic. And then so I stopped reading them. But if you don't have a problem with this, and this is one of those things where in the Bible it talks about Christian liberties. And I want everyone to understand that if you are a Christian and you have no problem with the Harry Potter books, I'm not going to judge you on that. I don't care. It's something where, when it came to my personal conscience, as I read them, or thought about reading them in Harry Potter's case, I decided I chose not to, and this was the reason why I chose not to. If you didn't have that same sort of mindset, you know, that's your Christian liberty, and I have zero issue with that. Everyone do what is in the constraints of their Christian liberties. And that said, you like Harry Dresden? Hey man, there's some great books. They are well written. They are some great stories. I kind of read some synopsis on Wikipedia afterwards, and it seemed like they kind of went to a boring direction, or at least a weird direction. So I didn't feel like I was missing too much. But they're worth a read if you don't mind that kind of book. Like, if you like Harry Potter, I actually recommend the Harry Dresden books.
Augustine all along. I managed to find remnants of his journal, and it all points to Augustine's involvement with a paganistic cult operating inside the cathedral.
Aye, the cathedral's dark secret has been uncovered. I too suspected this, but was too afraid to act. Augustine himself is a heretic.
He has covered his tracks well, claiming that the sacred relic, the Hand of Jude, was stored here. He had those who came to see it murdered. The Hand of Jude never existed.
And with that realization, the trap closes, brother. My days here are numbered. I awoke to find this cruel dagger placed upon my pillow this morn. It can only mean one thing. I know too much, and they are moving to silence me. I can only hope that what little faith I have left is enough to save my soul. Please, take this thing away from me. Its very sight troubles me to no end. May your faith protect thee, Brother Luther, for that's all you have.
Oh, he did. Glowing lights behind you? Yeah, you did. Sorry, I know I'm starting to get behind in the chat here. I'm starting to feel like Anti or Bird. Robert is saying there is real life sorcery as it says in the Bible. Remember the Witch King Saul went to call up the spirit of Prophet Samuel. Simon the Sorcerer in the New Testament just named a couple. Yeah, that's true. The Bible does definitely talk about there being witchcraft, and you know, like with Pharaoh in Egypt, when Moses went and he had his interactions with them with the snakes and the turning river of blood. There's like a Focus on the Family movie, I want to say, a while back ago, that was the Prince of Egypt. Was it Focus on the Family, or was it some other organization? Either way, they made it look like the sorcerers were like charlatans, and like they'd sprinkle a little clay in some water, and oh look, it's blood. Kind of like the Family Guy episode where Stewie went back in time and saw Jesus, and then he's like, well, it was underwhelming, and you see just some guy like pretending to pull his thumb off, which I can't do it on the camera view, but you know, like, oh look, I got my thumb there. And I thought that was dumb because I do think that there was real witchcraft back in the day, real sorcery. I don't really think it exists anymore. I think that's, and you know, I'm certainly not one of those people like, there's no way anything supernatural could ever happen. I wouldn't ever want to limit God that way. I wouldn't want to try and put God into a box by saying he absolutely will not do something supernatural today. I do think it's decreased. But yeah, there were certainly real instances of sorcery back in the day, according to scriptures. And the Mullet Gunman is saying, excellent, I'm into retro gaming too. I have all the retro mini consoles that were made, and I have a Sega Genesis with a very large game collection. The Sega Genesis is one of those games where I don't have that. I really miss it. I wish I did have a Sega Genesis, because a lot of fun games were released onto it. Mr. Lindell, I'm gonna get Mr. Miles all riled up. I hope not. I really hope not. Let me make sure I'm getting into the right spot here. Tom is saying he asked Anti-Trekker on Twitter if he was going to be streamer, and he said no power. Oh, well, bad for him, good for me. And I just switched over to live chat because apparently I wasn't. My apologies. Mr. Miles is saying I had considered the Greek gods, but discounted them because of actual religion. You know, I wouldn't have discounted them. The reason I discounted the Greek gods and didn't care about it wasn't because it was a religion, but because if someone still believes in Greek gods, I'd be interested in meeting them, to be honest. Like, I would say that, like, practically, statistically, I'd count that as like a 0% of the world believes in the Greek gods. So I have no problems with reading historical stuff like that. In fact, I love reading historical stuff like that. And maybe it is just kind of a curiosity on my part of what people used to believe. But I find those stories fascinating to read. Oh, I'm crazy. All this stuff isn't really here. You can tell when it's not here because it will hurt you, but when you slash it, it just does that instant evaporation thing. Mr. Miles is saying, for a while there was push from Christian communities to ban Harry Potter from schools, even from allowing students to bring their own. My stance on that? Against it. 100% against that kind of censorship. I do not believe it is the role of the Christian church to censor people. Especially people who do not share our faith. In fact, the Bible talks about there was an issue where the Christians at the time were judging people who didn't believe in Christ. And yeah, I just killed the guy who's been helping me this whole time, for the record. The monk in the effigy has been sacrificed. A dagger protrudes from a deep groove within his chest. The echoes of his scream still reverberate in Paul's ears. So yeah, they were judging non-believers, people who didn't believe in Christ, and God rebuked them through Paul. He said, "It's not your job to be judging people who don't believe in God. God will be the one in charge of that." And then he turned around and further rebuked them because they were not judging people who did believe in God. So you had people in the church who were like committing heinous sins. They were being cruel and unkind to other people in the church. They were just drunk off their backsides at these dinners, and no one was saying anything. And Paul was like, "What the heck? Like, why are you judging people outside the church? You need to be holding each other accountable within the church." Lying in a pool of his own blood is the custodian, Paul's only ally in his fight against the darkness. His soul no doubt lingers, fused to the altar on which his life has been taken, watching over his own rapidly cooling corpse. Feeling all hopes escape from him, Paul's situation is suddenly 1,000 times more desperate than before. Now he's alone against the darkness.
You are a clever man, Brother Luther. Wanting answers to clarify your new position as fugitive, you seek them out, and this is what you find. Tell me, what does a man such as yourself think of when he finds a viper's nest of heresy, when he finds the very source of corruption?
I think of irony. Irony of what you, masquerading as a member of the Inquisition, stand for. And that you stand for evil.
Evil is merely a perspective which no longer concerns me, Luther. You will be executed in the most painful manner imaginable. After we have broken your frail body and mind in the name of our true Lord, Zelototh. Come, my children, feast on this morsel, and let us return to our preparations.
Okay, cutscene over just about. Mr. Miles was asking me about my stance on comic books, since a lot of them were based on real life. I have no problem with comic books, which I think I see the connection you're trying to make there. Like Spider-Man is set in like New York City or something. Batman is Gotham, but it's supposed to be like a real close mirroring to Chicago or something, I want to say. I forget. Don't take away my nerd credit if I can't remember. Oh, I was trying to cast a spell and I have no inventory all of a sudden. Because I'm insane. So I have no problem with like basing something on the real world. My only problem is magic based on the real world. And again, the reason for that is what Robert was saying earlier, that that there was sorcery in Bible times, and one of the admonitions given us through scriptures was to have nothing to do with witchcraft, and that was something that was repeated in the New Testament. So in the Old Testament, there were very harsh rules for witchcraft, but then the New Testament came around, and Jesus said that those rules weren't things like there was a distinction done between the spiritual rules and the civil rules, and the civil rules were not something that non-Jewish people were supposed to worry about anymore. And even the Jewish people, the Bible said, look, God understands that this isn't something that you guys can do. That's why Jesus did it all. So that's the only distinction I made, and that's the only reason I care about magic in the real life. Wesley Crusher, hello. Oh, gotta go back to work. When am I going to start doing Call of Cthulhu? I'm trying to get everyone to make their characters so we can get this going. As soon as we get the characters made, we will schedule a time to get it done. But I'm pestering people like, Cinnabon, when do you want to make your character? Mr. Lindell, someone tell AT to pay his bill next time. And also, Mr. Lindell is saying, I think there are still pagans to this day. I'd be hard-pressed to find someone who truly believes in the Greek gods today. And a lot of the reason for that, I would say, is because when Rome conquered Greek, they kind of did a copy-paste of the Greek gods and set up their own Roman pantheon. And then when Constantine had his vision of the cross in the sky before the battle, and he felt like that was the God of the Bible calling him to his religion, and forced the religion on to the masses. I think there's a lot of evidence showing that the people basically said, okay, we're going to take all the Roman gods and we're just going to Christianify them. So God became Zeus. The lesser gods became the apostles.
Is to guard this place. Do not worry
in the classic Roman Catholic system.
terror at the sight of your mightiness.
So I think we'd be hard pressed to find someone who actually believes in the Greek and truly believes in the Greek and Roman gods. Oh, that didn't go well for my guy at all.
If I am to guard this place, then I will do it as I see fit. Be gone, leave me, and I will guard this artifact as you have instructed.
Fair enough, Mr. Lindell. He's saying maybe I'm thinking druids. There's certainly a lot of people who believe in the Celtic system still. Yeah. I mean, not a lot, but there are some diehards for the Celtic system still. Wesley, yeah, I'm pretty sure your character's done. You got everything there. And this game, by the way, is a GameCube game, Wesley. I saw you ask that a little bit while ago. It was released in 2002. Let's see, notes from Edward. My dearest Alex, I am glad that you have followed my paper trail thus far. I knew I could depend on you. This will be the hardest part of your journey. Look for the 88 keys to continue your journey into the past. Your loving grandfather, Edward. Okay, so that's a piano, 88 keys. Wesley, I'm not sure if I'm following that sentence. I once went out with a goth by sexual Wiccan ethnicity Mexican. Wasn't a good match. I would certainly imagine not. I went through a hardcore goth phase in my teens. Okay. Should I play the piano? Yes. Let's try this one more time. A, B, Y, X, E, Y, A. Oh, Oh, okay. Thank you, Miss Lundell. Thank you. Yes, B-I bisexual, not B-Y bisexual. Okay. I'm guessing you're on a... Wesley's on a cell phone, so got auto-corrected there. John looks like Wesley was going for SJW bingo.
Who are you?
I am your lord and conqueror.
What manner of forsaken being are you?
So, you can see me in my true form. You are a gifted man. Take this one and use him as the foundation for the pillar. He is special and should be given a special place among the suffering.
Wesley, yes, I was a goth kid, very much also angsty emo type kid.
Much has been written about the exploits of conquerors.
My teen years weren't
Context
fun
of
years.
history, one man's champion is another man's nemesis, hero or murderer. Much has been written, but what has not is far more interesting. The Tome of Eternal Darkness mentions a Venetian artist and architect of the Renaissance named Roberto Bianchi. Roaming abroad to find inspiration, he was captured by a warlord expanding his empire. He forced Roberto to use his architectural and engineering skills to construct a monument to his greatness. To complete his task, he must survey the site.
Thomas Potts. Matthew was emo. Yeah. Pretty much. I know it doesn't sound possible. Now I seem more like Elmo than emo.
Survey the site quickly, dog, and maybe you'll live long enough to see the sacrament's construction.
Wesley, no, guys, it was a Ren fair. Weird things happen there. I believe it. I've never been to a Renaissance fair.
Even though you are graced with the generosity of our liege, you are still his prisoner. As I said, finish your work quickly, and maybe we'll drag you out of this hole.
Mr. Miles saying, I had to step away for a second, but I wanted to respond to something earlier. Yeah, go for it. Roberto must survey the ruins of this ancient temple. The rooms he must survey can be found on the map. Only when these areas have been inspected can the construction begin. Mr. Lundell, we all go nuts before we gain our sanity. I certainly hope so. That's a fair point, Mr. Miles. I think that's aptly said. He's saying that he can see why we have such a different view on this Harry Potter and magic being shown as real. It's because he does not and never has believed that magic is real. Whereas I do believe that, and let me quantify this also. When I say I do believe that magic has been real, at least at some point. Oh yeah, and you're making that distinction already. That I do believe magic, or at least was real, and that is certainly true. That I believe there, and when I say magic, also understand that I'm talking more about demonic influence, which I would argue is the ultimate source of any magic. Okay, good, I got a weapon. Now I won't instantly die when things happen. Thomas Potts, magic is real because Santa is real. So, fun story on this. I am one of those boring parents who is honest with their kids about Santa Claus. That, spoilers by the way, you might want to turn this off if you have young kids in the room, okay? Fair warning, everyone But hey, what are you having young kids in the room while I'm playing a zombie game anyway? This one's on you. I very much taught my kids from the very beginning that magic was not real. That Santa was not real. That Santa was a game of make believe, and he doesn't exist. That there was a historical person, you know, all the boring information. And I had in-laws that were very much concerned that I would tell their kids that Santa wasn't real. Like, they were really legit worried. Like, no, don't worry. I'm not gonna ruin things for you. Like, I get that you're doing that. That's just not something I'm gonna do with my kids. And the reason I didn't was because growing up, my family was real poor, and knowing that each gift I got didn't come from a fat guy in a suit, but came from my parents who saved up money for this and worked hard, and that they personally went without things so that I could have a few Christmas presents, was really a really important thing to me. And so I wanted my kids to know from an early age that it was mommy and daddy buying them gifts and not a guy in a suit. I wanted them to appreciate the presents and not just have presents. So I never did the Santa thing, but I did have some in-laws that were really scared that either I'd tell their kids or that my kids would tell their kids. And so we made sure that we always told them, like, hey, make sure not to tell. Just if they bring up Santa, be like, oh, that's neat, and just leave it at that. Oops, don't want to walk into that. Oh, don't shoot him. Shoot that. Mr. Miles is asking, honest question, why wasn't Jesus' abilities ever attributed to witchcraft? It's something I've often wondered about. An interesting thing about that, Mr. Miles, is that the Hebrew leaders at the time actually did accuse him, not necessarily of witchcraft per se, but of getting his powers from Satan, and he had to refute that and be like, no, if Satan was against Satan, then how could he possibly stand, basically. Don't let him hit you. Oh, that was close. A house divided against itself cannot stand was Jesus' point. So he actually did have to fight against the notion that the stuff he did was demonic or witchcraft. That's a good question. Mr. Miles, I'm really enjoying this conversation. I appreciate the stuff you're asking, and just that we're able to have a nice, respectful conversation with differing opinions. It's something that I greatly miss. The ability to disagree without being jerks about it, basically. Am I shrinking? Yep, my character is definitely shrinking there. And John saying he also told his kids from the beginning that Santa wasn't real, but warned his kids not to spoil it for the other kids. Yeah, exactly. Let's see, is there anyone else in here? Okay, good. Thomas. So Matthew lies and told his kids that the gifts from Santa were from him. Yeah, I'm a cheater, and I take credit for other people's works. Honestly, one of the big reasons was one, I wanted them to know that the gifts came from me and their moms. I wanted them not to feel like I didn't want them to feel like gifts were just something they got. I wanted them to understand who it came from. But the other reason was I wanted them to know that they could trust me. That, you know, I might tease them from time to time, but I'm going to be honest about when I'm teasing them. And I wanted them to know that when we got to the important stuff, the important hard questions, oh great, now it's deleting everything. You have successfully deleted all of your save games. Save and continue. So this was a fun thing. So the Going Insane would do is it would start interacting with your actual game and TV and stuff. But yeah, I wanted my kids to know that they could always trust me when I got to the important life issues. Miss Lindell, yeah, the green liquid to my left is my sanity. The blue, and because I'm so low on sanity, now I'm imagining that there's infinite ammo on the ground. The more insane you go, the more fun this game becomes, because weird stuff like this starts happening. But you can see that didn't count anything. I still only have 2 crossbow bolts left. Let's see, we're gonna make these guys go harmonic. There we are. I just need to get out of the blast radius. And you can see right now I'm literally so crazy that, like, you hear women crying in the background, and if you listen closely, if I shut up long enough, you can actually hear like a baby crying or something, amongst all the other insane things that happen in this game. Let's see. Yes, survey the area and then get out of here, because I'm pretty sure all these guys will try to kill me if I stick around. Yeah. Westlake, Matt, can I trust you about the important life stuff? Yeah. Yeah. You can always trust me about the important life stuff. You know, things like The Last Jedi was a bad movie. Picard was flawed but fun. You can always trust me to be honest about the important life stuff. Let's see. Now this is one of the things where I'm pretty sure I need to do it right here. Not new spell. Reveal invisible. I think it's red that I have to do. I think it's right here. If you reveal invisible, yep, there it is. There is a sapphire effigy. And if I collect all 3 of these across 3 different time periods, I get a special weapon at the end of the game, which I don't use, but I like getting it anyway. And this is one of those things where, having played through the game a couple times, it pays off. Thomas Potts, we already knew I was crazy. Please let me attack people before I get killed. That's right, Redneck. The meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 42. Oop, they got back up. Need to kill them again, apparently. So if I hadn't already revealed invisible, this little pentagram that's green would have been the game telling me that in order to progress, I need to cast reveal invisible in the alignment that beats green, which is red.
Help me, Grandpa. I can't take this anymore.
Don't be so weak, Alex. You have a stronger mind than this. I didn't bring up a weakling. not a scared wretch of a girl.
You kept all this from me. You kept me alone. You shared nothing with me.
I couldn't. I could never give you the burden. I just wanted you to grow up. To grow up and leave me alone. Why couldn't you have been killed with your parents? This isn't really happening!
So one of the fun things about that moment right there is one, it's you in the past, this guy, experiencing a moment in the future of the Alex character reading the book of this chapter right here. So like, that's just one of the super fun things about this game is it's backwards, forwards, upside down stuff. This fat guy can't run to save his life. It's like looking in a mirror. Oh, barely made it. So I got my my firstborn son an early birthday present today. He's learned how to ride a bike with no training wheels, which I wish I'd never done training wheels. Like having learned the better ways of doing it. Like I wish I'd done a balance bike from the beginning, because apparently that is the best way to get your kids used to riding bikes from the get-go. We did training wheels with the oldest, and it took him a long time to gain the confidence to ride a bike regularly. In fact, what I had to do is on his training wheel bike, I took off the training wheels, and we tried to spend a couple afternoons learning how to ride it. He just wouldn't do it, had no confidence. So what I did is I took off the pedals and the whole assembly, the bottom bracket assembly there, and turned his training wheel bike into a balance bike. And he had so much fun zooming around on that thing, and got to the point where he was really confident and competent on using it. So a couple weeks ago, we put the pedals back on, and he's just done a great job of riding the bike and being amazing at it. Oh, shoot. I have to walk around or cast a spell. And so I really wanted to reward him because he's at the age where he needs a bigger bike in general. Like, he's too big to use... to keep using the bike he's on. And one of the fun things about this is the longer I use a creature, the lower my sanity gets. Like to control a creature is to become insane. So I've been looking around for a good bike for him. And I tried to get one used, but I could not find one that fit the price range, or I couldn't find a good one. Like every single bike I found, it was like a coaster bike where you step backwards in order to brake, and I really want to get my son away from that. I wanted him to do the handbrakes and get used to that early. And the thing that really tripped me up is, as long as I was doing this, I wanted him to have at least like 3 gears or something, just enough to get used to the process of changing gears. Wesley, I do not know why 42 is used. Why was 42 used? Oh, great, I'm insane down here. That's not what I need right now. So, like, I looked around everywhere for a decent bike. Could not find it. I finally broke down, and we had to buy a new one. And bless his heart, he can just barely fit on this bike. It's a 20-inch bike. He can just barely get on it. But we went for a bike ride today on it, and we called it an early birthday present for him because I really wanted to get him to enjoy it during these during the full summer months instead of at the very end of everything. And because he needed to. Like, the training wheel bike, it was a 12-inch wheel, and so it was really getting too big for that. Bird of Prey could have stolen a bike. He could have sent someone to steal a bike. An uncle or something. But so we went for a bike ride, and he did a great job. We hit some trails, and in the end, he did about 7 miles with me. I was real proud of him.
None shall enter except the chosen. Speak. You are the chosen. For many years I have tested those who came here, and all have failed. You are unaffected by the power I wield, and thus must surely be the chosen. I? Once I was as you were, confused and without answers, yet they came in time. Now my duty is complete. I can finally rest. My sacrifice was not in vain.
If I can get my phone to link up to Windows easily today, I'll actually show y'all a video I took of him on the bike. Roberto can feel the acidic touch of the artifact's magic reaching towards him. Using shreds of cloth from his robe to shield his hands, he retrieves the hovering artifact. And I've acquired the essence of Ulioth and the ruby effigy. And then I need to survey the area. LDG is saying the number 4 is a number of being. It's a number that connects mind, body, spirit with the physical world of structure and organization. 4 symbolizes the safety and security of home, the need for stability, and strength on a solid foundation of values and beliefs. Number 2 is usually associated with harmony, balance, consideration, and love. It means that you should have more faith in your angels. You should believe in energies that exist in the universe, which will help you understand better many things in life. Are you pulling my leg? I've never heard this. Let's see. Do I have any rooms? Left to I think I've gotten them all. Okay, I think I just have to go back to the beginning now. LDG is saying Google it. I mean, I trust you. I've never heard that before. Cinnabon. Nerd! Captain Redneck. Well, if it's on the internet, it's true. They can't put out lies on the internet. I'm pretty sure I've heard that before. I think I read that on the internet, Captain Redneck. It must be true. Let's see. This is one of those game moments where on the way back, like, nothing happens to me. Like, maybe there's one more weak enemy who shows up, but by far and large, like, nothing else happens. So I wish at this point the game would just be like, okay, you finished surveying everything, and the level's over. Good job. Instead of making me go all the way back to the beginning. Yeah, yeah, Captain Redneck. You just read it on that on the internet, homie. So it's been confirmed. Oh, I didn't even notice it. Look, I've gone insane. And did y'all see it? There were flies crawling on the screen, and it looked like when this is the middle of the night, and you're doing this on like a big TV, and all of a sudden these flies start walking across it. Like it's one of these moments that have you legitimately thinking that there's a fly on your TV screen. Cinnabon, since we all read it, I guess that means it's been peer reviewed. Wesley, how much do I know about old programming? So how old are we talking here? The answer is I know a good deal about it. It's just it kind of depends on how old we're talking. There we go. LDG is saying maybe they did it for different reasons, just thought it would be a cool coincidence. Maybe.
The foundations are infested. Demons and devils. Many lives will be lost if you try to build there.
You have done well to complete your goal, Bianchi. The construction will continue as planned.
But the demons! You'd be insane to build there.
Silence, dog! What dwells beneath the Forbidden City is the very reason it was built. For you to understand, you must witness it firsthand. Let me educate you. Guards! Put this one with the others of the sacrifice. I am the Scourge of God, appointed to chastise you, since no one knows the remedy for your iniquity except me. You are wicked, but I am more wicked than you, so be silent. Now you, architect, you are about to make your largest contribution to this project.
Was that a fat joke? I think that was a fat joke. Thomas Potts, did I change race? No, I'm still the Italian guy. In the game. I'm assuming you're talking about in the game. Wesley's saying that's not it. Well, what was it, Wes? Captain Reddick, that's cool, but it would be the weakest pillar ever built, right? Humans are not a suitable construction material. Edward Royfus' study is filled with arcane knickknacks, the mementos of yesteryear and other cultures. The odor of ancient texts is faintly noticeable under the peppering of dust that covers every surface, except one. The desk has been... no, not there. Somewhere around here, I can examine... Yeah, here we go. Should I survey the area? Yes. An unforeseen force guides Alex's hands toward the painting, compelling her to look behind it. She reaches out and pulls back the painting and discovers a chapter page hidden behind it. Should I continue the game? Yes. I found... Oh, this is one of my favorite chapters of the game.
The Black Guardian grows restless, my liege. Its hunger increases, and the binding continues to weaken. We feed it flesh, but I fear it will not guard the relic too much longer.
There is no choice in the matter.
It must remain and guard the artifact until the time of planetary alignment. After that, the Guardian may return to its lair. Our master does not like failure. It is imperative to keep the binding intact.
Then we have to find more.
Thomas, is he working on Icheb? I'm pretty sure yes. Wesley's saying the 40-second symbol in programming was a asterisk, which was used as a fill-in, so it means whatever you want to. Another interesting one. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google it because I want to know who's the most right here.
And the value of human life. Over 19,000 men lost their lives every day in the trenches of the Somme. Some say uselessly, some invoke a higher cause. I read accounts of the slaughter from many journalists who spent time in the trenches, but I found the account of a certain Peter Jacob to be the most horrible of all. His implication about the ancients' involvement with the war was hideous and so obvious. With the horror of the Battle of the Somme scant miles away and the distant echoes of pounding artillery, a young journalist named Peter Jacob researched his latest story from the front lines. His grim task brought him to Oubliette Cathedral, now transformed into a field hospital.
I find no solace in the purpose behind all the senseless violence that surrounds me. Young men die at a rate unheard of in centuries of warfare. Shelling, machine guns, and mustard gas rip, pierce, and burn their flesh. Men soak gauze in their own urine to stop the insidious gas. The hospitals here cannot cope with the torrent of wounded.
Okay, let's see here. Let's see. I know I'm a little behind the chat because of the cutscenes. Let's see. Thomas Potts. That architect tower was ugly. He got what he deserves. Harsh. And dead bodies don't act as mortar, right? Wesley's getting a lot of lag. Okay, I checked on that. It looks like I still have a good connection to the ABC company's YouTube, so I should. I think that's. I hope everyone else is doing fine on the streaming issue. Peter finds a sealed envelope. Yeah, I'm gonna take that because I'm a klepto. I've acquired some soldiers' orders. Excellent. I'm a hoarder and a klepto, yes. The guard unfolds the order and begins to read them before exclaiming, "Bloody hell, lad! We must be on the offensive!" Following the orders, he takes leave of his post. Later. And I'm stealing classified orders, that's right. Let's see, La victoire est à nous? I don't speak French, so I'm not sure what any of these propaganda posters mean. Yeah, I'm gonna take the gun. Mr. Lundell. Ew. Yeah, it's nasty in here, man. Stacked like logs, Peter stands before the price of human war. The bloodied corpses of young men who have made the ultimate sacrifice to defend their own countries and those of others. Yeah, I get the tone. Okay. I haven't shown you all this, but actually, if you move while the spell is being cast, the whole thing fizzles out. I gotta find a real weapon quick. So right now I'm just I picked up a gun and then I complain about not having a real weapon. In this game, bullets are pretty scarce, and so until I have like a weapon that does physical damage, I don't feel like I'm properly armed. Okay, let's see. The first letter from Private Reginald Jackson to his love, Margaret. I was admitted to this hospital on Tuesday. The damage caused to my legs was slight, but there's no way I could ever walk normally again. I hate this place. Every day I'm reminded that I'll never be able to do the things I love. The hospital is a very strange place. Converted from an old cathedral. There's an odd atmosphere around it. Silent but for the words of the wounded, calling out in the night. There's no doubt it is haunted. What I find most odd in this place is that you never see anyone leave during the day. It's just not right. No goodbyes or farewells, just an empty bed when you awake. And then his second letter. I've been here for over a week now, and there's no word when I'll be allowed to leave. Strange things have happened. At night, the sounds of the hospital change. Echoes of voices that don't belong to anyone haunt the walls and corridors. The restless ghosts, perhaps, or sounds of movement, or whispers. I've seen war firsthand, and the sounds at night in this hospital scare me more than I ever thought possible. What is going on here at night? Why do I feel so threatened? My fears are worsened by the talk of the other young soldiers. One said he heard cries for help in the middle of the night, cries that were only answered by snarls of rage and not compassion. And another said Lance Corporal Haskell had not been discharged but had gone missing. I stare at his empty bed with a sense of unholy dread gnawing at my heart. Thomas, now I'm reading out someone's personal letters. Yeah, I'm the worst, Thomas. Captain Redneck, never trust Matt with an email confirmed. Well, I gotta be more reliable than oh, even her? I gotta be more reliable than Hillary when it comes to emails. Oh, and it's Wesley's phone. Okay. Something up here saw me. That's weird. When I came through that room last time, right before I got to the door, I lost a little sanity, so I thought there was some creature. But I guess not. Okay. Do I know... this one, I think. Alright. Okay, everyone come attack me. There we go. Now I'm gonna hide in my little safety bubble. You know, World War I was an interesting war. Like, I got the feeling, let's equip that. Like, when you look at, when you think about the Christmas Day miracle, where everyone just stopped fighting, I kind of feel like the reason that happened was because everyone knew that, like, the war wasn't being fought for any super legit reason. Like, no one had any ties to be like, okay, yeah, I definitely need to be fighting for my nation this case. Whereas with World War II, like, we were fighting because we knew that one side was committing gross atrocities. Like, there was just no room for that kind of Christmas Day miracle to ever happen again. Thomas Potts, Matthew is working for CNN. Half they steal and the other half is made up. You know, it's not easy to make up news, but I think I do a great job. It was also such a tragic war. Just the fact that, because there were some people who unhappy with the ruling monarch and tried to get rid of him. And the fact it almost didn't happen. Like, if you look through the events that led up to World War I, it literally almost didn't happen. The guys who were trying to attack the Duke, or was it a Duke? I think it was a Duke. Like, they messed up. They hardly messed up. And yet, despite that, by sheer luck, the target stopped at a restaurant where one of these revolutionaries, if you will, happened to stop for lunch. And that's what let him kill the Duke, the Regent. I swear it was a Duke.
Don't disappoint me now. I've waited such a long time, Alex.
Never! I know what you are. I've seen what happened.
You can try to fight me, but in the end you shall succumb to my desires.
There's a lot of Joe Bidens in this game.
You don't even know your own destiny.
Get away from me!
Okay, thank you. Everyone's saying that it's Archduke, or Archduck. Oh yeah, Archduke. So, okay. Let's see if I can set this up super quick. Okay. Now I need to enchant. Let's use the rifle. No, don't shoot the lady. Okay, good. Good. Yeah, so, like, the fact that they actually killed the Archduke was complete fluke. Like, never should have happened. And yet, just by complete happenstance, they did it. I mean, talk about just an insane thing. And because of that one accident, oh man, I really need a sword of some kind here. There's one around here somewhere. Oh, darn it, I did it again. Every time I do this, I set up that damage field to protect the lady, and then I forget to dispel it. And she dies. I feel real guilty about it every time. But then I don't remember. So anyway. Yeah, so, complete fluke that they even got the Archduke. And then because of a series of honestly kind of foolish treaties, the entire war went to work. And that's what just made it so tragic. And I think that's why the Christmas Day miracle was something that was able to happen. Because the people who were fighting didn't really have a hatred for each other, you know? And it's even more sad because because sorry, I had to kill some zombies real quick. Because World War II was the direct connecting line to World War II. Like, if it hadn't been for the end of World War I, we never would have gotten... Like, Hitler never would have came to power. There would have been no World War II. And without World War II, Stalin never would have betrayed everyone at the end of it. There would have been no concern about the spread of Stalin to become the next Hitler, and there would have been no North Korea. There would have been no North Korea. There would have been no Korean War. There would have been no Vietnamese War. There would have been no Bay of Pigs. Like all this stuff that happened was a direct line that ties through from World War I. It's incredible. Mr. Lindell is saying that they were actually well-placed shots. There wasn't any kind of security despite the hostile environment. When the shot did happen, you're right that there was no security, but I do remember that what the heck? I do remember that, like, the Archduke had gone off the itinerary, had ended up at, like, a random restaurant, and by complete fluke, one of the guys was there, and ended up shooting him. I do wonder about that, Mr. Lindell. He's saying, had the First World War never happened, National Socialism wouldn't have happened. I'm not sure if I'd go that strong on it. I do think that the socialism we got would have been different, or would have started at a different location. Which room do I need to go to first? I do think that socialism would have happened no matter what, simply because I think that people would have... People like the idea of socialism. I don't. But I get why people do. Old, rusty, but faithful for many years, a coal-burning boiler provides heat and steam to the cathedral complex. There's currently no pressure being delivered to the generator. Yeah, turn the wheel. Let's get pressure out. I get that people like the idea that if they surrender their rights to the government, then the government will suddenly become this magical thing that suddenly starts caring about you. It doesn't. It never will. Government is always made up from people who, well, frankly, suck. There's no better way to put it. The government is always going to be made up of people who suck. Even if you have a government that is made up of good people, those people are eventually going to leave, and you're going to have bad people eventually come in. And so socialism will always fail because eventually you're going to have the bad people. You're going to have, and socialism ultimately is just like it's an oligarchy. It's a ruling class of a different name, but it's still just a ruling class. Oh, I might need more sanity in order to be able to control this thing. I am completely out of sanity. Yep. Okay, so I ran out of sanity, so that didn't work. So we will recover some. Thomas Potts, did I know that in World War I, a UK soldier had a mustache man in his gun sight but didn't pull the trigger because the mustache man was unarmed? I didn't know that. That is awesome, though. Hey, Ensign Ricky, how you doing? Miss Lindell is saying the Romanovs would have remained in power in Russia, so Lenin and Stalin would have just been a couple of nuts leeching off rich widows, and Adolf would have been a homeless painter. I do think that without World War I, Adolf never would have come to power. I do think that the only reason that Adolf was able to eventually come to power was because not just World War I, but also because at the end of World War I, Germany was basically left with the check. They're the ones blamed for everything, which was frankly an unfair. That was unfair to Germany in World War I. Okay, let's do my summon creature for 7 tier, and then protect self or protect area. Sure. No? I did it wrong? Protect self. Okay. And I think if... I do think that if at the end of World War I, we hadn't... Oh, I did item twice, darn it. We hadn't burdened Germany with everything. I don't think, in that case, I don't think Hitler would have come to power. Project, there we go. Maybe I should stop talking and focus on this. Oh, which one am I even going for now? Okay, absorb self, I think it is. Let's see, absorb area. I do agree with you, Miss Lindell, that I think that Lenin and Stalin probably would have not come to power without World War I, simply because there was that direct tie to World War II from World War I. I still think that eventually, let's see, protect area. I do think eventually some form of communism would have come to power, and eventually, even if in the best case scenario, that first form of communism was somehow benign, I think that it would have inevitably, by its very nature, have been corrupted within a single change of leadership, if it even took that long. I think that it is impossible for communism to remain, or socialism, I don't care what you want to call it, same creature, it is impossible for it to remain benign. It assumes that people are inherently good, and who was the singer who sang, "People just ain't no good"? Let's see, dispel area. Like it's one of the things that makes me laugh when people are like, we need the government to have more control over pick your item of the day. And then you're like, oh, okay, so you like Trump? And like, no, Trump is the worst person ever. He's the spawn of Satan. It's like, well, then why do you want government to have more power? Am I trying to cast? Oh, I'm trying to do the wrong things. Okay, let's assign this. And then I need to upgrade my shield to that. There we go. John saying, I don't think socialism could ever work on a large scale to human nature. However, in a small community of committed people, it could be feasible. You know what? I will agree with that, John, on a single provision. I think that it could work in a small community with committed people for a limited time. I think that over time it would eventually become corrupted, but I think that small community, limited number of people who are committed for a limited amount of time, socialism could work. And in fact, I'd even say that we saw some of that in what was it? It was one of the pilgrim type people. Jamestown, maybe? They had a bit of socialism going on. No, wait, you know what? It didn't work. They had socialism at first, and it actually failed. Eventually, they had to change it up and say, look, if you're not going to work, then you're not going to eat either. See, John's saying there's a religious group known as the Hutterites. Okay. That has been practicing communal living for centuries. That's interesting. I mean, a part of me is kind of curious, like, how communal are they, even? Like, is it true socialism, or is it like quasi-socialism? Okay, A, B, Y, X, B, Y, A. There we go. See, Miss Lindell is saying it wouldn't work on a small scale. You still have a leech or two getting just as much as the guy who busts his butt. Then the whole thing falls apart. I agree. And John's saying that's why I added the caveat committed people. Like I said, I can see it happening. I'm really curious. I will have to Google that, John, about the Hutterites. Simply because I am curious about what style of socialism they do. You say communal living, like, is it truly no one owns anything, or is it like something a little less severe than that? This one. Like is it where they all live in like the same basic home structure, like some sort of giant ever-expanding mansion, or is it truly everyone has their own home and yet they all pay and like maintain it? You got my interest. I'm curious how they do it. No head for you. No head for you. Whoops. John's saying they have separate houses. Don't dodge. Don't get a dodge. There we go. They have separate houses with personal belongings, but the finances are communal. Mr. Lindell, I certainly agree with that sentiment, that the committed ones are usually the leeches. I mean, you're gonna have committed people who believe in this and work hard, but I do think that there's going to be a lot of leeches involved. It's unfortunately human nature. Shoot her! Did I get them all? There we go. Okay, I need to get a little bit of sanity back so these things stop stealing my health. Case in point, Mr. Lindell saying, Bernie Sanders never had a job until he got into politics. One might argue that he still doesn't have a job. Which, as much as I disagree with Bernie, it's gotta suck to be a Bernie supporter. 2 years now. Your guy has just been robbed of what should have been his victories, and instead you've gotten some loser who's like trying to convince you that you should totally vote for him. Why can't I shoot this guy? Come on. Dodge this. Punk keeps dodging my my bullets. Oh. Okay, John. He's saying for reference, the Hutterites are like spiritual cousins of the Amish to help explain the commitment and the ethic. So one more letter that I'm stealing from Private Reginald Jackson. It's been 2 weeks since Haskell went missing, and I'm afraid to go to sleep. More than once I saw shadows of people moving past my beds, peeking through the blinds, and to see a wounded soldier being taken from his bed, drugged and delirious in the dead of the night, never to be seen again, as Haskell was. Perhaps as I will be. What happened to them? I don't know. I'm afraid to ask what happened, for I know that I would surely be the next one to be taken into the darkness. Which, I don't know how much you know about Amish people. They are not as friendly as they seem. Not even a little bit. And John's putting in a link to the Hutterites. Thank you. I am interested to see that. Are they located here in the States, or are they located somewhere else? Like if you actually want to leave the Amish, they are cutthroat. Which would certainly explain why the Hutterites work. Like if they are like the it's a new one. I'm insane and believe that I'm one of the zombie creatures now. But yeah, if you try to leave the Amish, then they definitely do not treat you kindly. Oh wow, this delusion goes on for a while here. They're mostly in US and Canada? Okay. Let's see. Actually, that was probably a waste of my magic. Yeah, John's saying there are some bad Amish, but I have personally known many great Amish folks. The Amish people are typically good to outsiders. It's the insiders where things get nasty. Especially the insiders who want to leave or aren't doing their fair share, as it were. I hear those little creatures tip-tapping around there. punks are hidden just out of my vision. There's one more somewhere. I hear him. There we are. He's saying that there's also a lot of variation among different Amish groups. That's fair. I tried to get a video pulled up here of my my son on his bike ride, which he was like, "How did you get that, Dad?" I'm like, "Well, you know, I don't always follow good bike safety." Yeah, he did. Okay, magical attack, project area. So now I need to beef it up. Project area. And super beef it up. Project area. There we go. This spell is about to be super important. In fact, I should save before doing this. Oh man, sometimes I look at this, I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe it's been so long since I saved. I'm just asking to die in some stupid way. Let's see, let's also recover some sanity here. In fact, how's my health in general doing? Pretty good. We're good. Let's do this. John saying, just for full disclosure, my beliefs are the Mennonite persuasion. Okay. Which be in the same family, so to speak, as Amish and Hutterites. Okay. I mean, I'm going to say that you know your own religion best. I would have made a pretty important distinction between the Mennonites and the Amish. But like I said, I'm gonna assume you know. I'm gonna assume that you know your own religions better than I do, man. I think this is the best boss fight in the game. And frankly, this is like one of 2 boss fights within the game. Like, really true boss fights. Everything else has been like mini boss fights where I might have one. Okay, so he recharges every time. I might have like a, excuse me. Like they might send like a wave of enemies at me, but it's not like a true boss fight. Let's see, we're gonna do a magical attack right there. Okay. Let him get one last pot shot off on me, and then I'll attack him back. I can do better than that. Whoop. Punk actually got me. Okay, I'm going to attack you with everything I got. So yeah, this fight, like, you cannot damage him using standard weapons. You can only damage him using the magical attack. see. Okay, we'll use that. And then... Alright. John's saying by same movement I mean we originated, or by same family I mean we originated from the same movement. Okay. Let's see, I need to get this timing just right or else it's a waste of energy. Ah, shoot, it was a waste of energy. Come on, come on. Darn it. Mr. Lindell is asking if anyone knows the number of YouTube videos about stimulus checks? No. No, I have not. Try to do this again. But to be honest, I mean, I have the YouTube channels that I actually like watching, and beyond that, I never really land on the YouTube homepage. I really could not care less about anything YouTube recommends to me as something they think that I would enjoy. Okay, this time, yeah, this time I'm gonna get him. Miss Lundell is saying, there seems to be a crap load of them popping up on my streams lately. Huh. Okay. So now he's gonna try to blow me out of the water. I dodge him enough times, he recharges energy, and then, right here, then I attack him. Let's see if I can get away with this. Ah, there's no way I'm gonna cast this in time. Yeah, I missed him. The first time you do this fight, it is so fun. All the times that you mess up trying to figure out how you're supposed to do this. And it's so fun when you finally get that moment of realization of like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to do it. Okay, one more attack and I should be able to finish this guy off. Thomas is asking, Miss Lindell, what is the name of that movie, or what was the name of that movie the title of your stream? So Miss Lindell, was the name of that movie the title of your stream? And also, for some reason, he can skip and like or dislike pro-Trump ads, but not pro-Biden ads. Surely that's pure coincidence. Surely it's nothing to do with YouTube actively like preventing you from skipping Biden ads. Like, I know every once in a while I get an ad that I just can't skip no matter what. With the Guardian of Xelotath vanquished and the stained glass that kept it hidden lying in pieces, the essence of Churga is now liberated. Its magic beacons to Peter, calling to him. He approaches cautiously. Should I retrieve the essence of Churga? Yes. Peter reaches out for the artifact, but pulls away as he feels its corrosive magic, with a K, closed on his hand. Wrapping his hand in a shred of clothing, he carefully lifts the artifact from its resting place. Jason in the Argonauts, Mr. Lindell? That is great. I remember that movie.
And that was how I came by it. I know it sounds crazy, but there you have it. The only proof I have is that statue.
It's a strange one. I've seen one like it before.
You have?
Yes. Very rare, though. Very obscure.
I've had experts take a look at it, and none of them know what it is. And you do.
I'm somewhat of an expert on these things myself. An interest I developed a long time ago while I was a young man.
Then you should keep it. Lord knows I have no interest in it. I am sure it's the cause of my sleeplessness. I keep thinking about it, as if it's calling out to me.
Then a drink, perhaps. For the gift. For an unusual objet d'art.
Thomas is saying he looked up swords and sandals but got some game. So yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder, Thomas, if it's a matter of them actively like campaigning against Trump, like, hey, you're allowed to do whatever you want against him and you can't do anything bad against Biden, or if it's a matter of like or if it's a matter of like a payment thing. Like maybe Biden's sinking more money into the advertising. You know, like maybe if you do $1 per ad, people can skip it, but if you do $5 per ad, it's unskippable. It does make you wonder though, Thomas. So right now I'm just picking up a bunch of loose ammo down here. And we'll put in this lucky penny that we just got. Trip the breaker. Which this is not an appropriate way to to replace a fuse. Uh-oh. YouTube is giving me error messages saying that it's not getting enough video to maintain smooth streaming. That's weird. Okay, there it goes. It fixed itself. Thomas is saying, I wish YouTube would give the content creator the ability to block certain ads in their videos. An error has occurred reading the Nintendo GameCube controller. Please insert controller into the Nintendo GameCube controller socket 1. I do agree, Thomas. I wish they would... Like, I wish it would at least be... Man, YouTube. You start talking about YouTube and then it gives you an error. What a coincidence, right? I do wish YouTube also would let the advertisers choose what sort of platform they want to stream on. Like, they say if you do Let's Plays like this, then your content is not content friendly, and so they actively start blocking you. But it's like, hey, you know what? What if I'm advertising something where I want to be advertising to people who play Eternal Darkness or Fortnite or whatever the game of the moment is?
You are not free to leave this plane until you complete a task for me. You are to hunt and kill the master of this house.
Do this one thing, and you will be free. Else fear the wrath of Zelatoth. Everything is complete for your arrival, Master. Now we must wait for the planets to align, and that is not too many years from now. Another Roivus has crossed our path. This time, we will not be so merciful.
Mercy has no place in this world. It has only a place for me.
He will meet such a horrible death that the rest of the line will never set foot in his house again.
Pray to me that they don't. Pray to me anyway.
Let's see, another journal from the crazy guy. I sought to love all, yet now love causes me pain and suffering. I have learned to fear nothing, although it is nothing that I most fear. All that were loyal to me now number among my worst enemies. Mr. Lundell, why is the bad guy Spirit dressed like a centurion? At the very beginning of the game, the first character you play as is a Roman centurion, and he picks up one of the artifacts, except he does it with his bare hands, and as a result, he becomes this corrupted thing. I forgot to point this out, but if you've been paying attention, when you go crazy, all the pictures change. And so the crazier you get, the more the pictures become like these horrific, grotesque things. Like, not all of them, but certain ones of them start to become like these really grotesque things and insane-looking things. But yeah, the point is I wish YouTube would let me decide, or A, let the content, like the person doing the advertising decide, but B, also let me decide. Like, maybe I don't want ads from a certain person coming on. I should be able to pay so much a month to have the ability to reject ads from appearing on my channel. Let's see, 2.5 hours, 11:30. You know what? I am going to have to call it a night here instead of going to the next chapter. I do have to get up. I have to get up kind of early tomorrow to head out to Midwest Texas and do some work, which I'm thankful for, to have work going. Last week I didn't have any, so hopefully things resolve here quickly so that I can continue working. But guys, thank you so much for coming out and hanging out with me on another fun live stream. I really appreciate it. Until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Whoops. Thank you so much for watching.